Right, in this clip I'm going to show you how to create an electrified fence. What you'll see here is I've created like a spaceport. Well, that's the plan anyway. And what I've done is I've created a fence all the way around it. Now these fences come from the Force Awakens set. And if I go into my spark mode, you'll see that as I spin around over the camp, let's move back a bit, you'll see I've got this fence going all the way around, and over the top of the fence I've placed a trigger area over the top of it, and I've stretched it all the way around the base. Now there's just one section I haven't done, which is this bit at the front, because I want to show you how I do that. So using my tools, I'm going to go to my trigger area, and I'm going to move this down and finish the last section of the fence. So I'm just going to go down on the screen, position this into place. That should be it. Now, also, what you'll notice with the trigger area, they're not fixed to one size. You can resize them like I've shown you in the other group. So if I come over this fence, I can remove that back. So let me just jump back over. And you'll see on a trigger area, these little dots in the corner. If I point to one of those dots, I can click on the X and I can stretch and move the area by moving my mouse. Now, depending on how much objects you've got on your screen and how big your area you're doing, sometimes you'll see you move the item and then there's a delay. So just be wary of that. That's something that caught me out a couple of times. I click press and it's not the right size. So you'll see it hasn't moved there. It takes a couple of seconds. But I want that to be that high. And I put it that high on the purpose because Jedis can jump quite large. So let me just confirm that into place. So now that's done, what I need to do is that when I get an individual to jump through the fence like that, I need them to be electrocuted and then killed. So I'm going to need a few tools here. And I'll lay all the tools out and I'll explain each one and why I've used them. But one that doesn't jump out at you is I'm going to use a logic gate. It takes a while to get used to how to use these, but these are really genius tools. So I'll have a logic gate. I'm also going to use an action forcer. And then I'm going to need that one. I need a time delayer. Yeah. And I need a kill switch. Let's go back and pick the kill switch. I'm getting better knowing where they all are now. And I'll move that across. Now, with a logic gate is basically a doorway. And you have to send a signal in. So if I go into this work area here, this trigger area I mean, and if I click onto there and do enter, and I'll get when any player enters that area, I'm now going to point it to that logic gate. And I'm going to say, can I chuck an input in? Now, logic gates default when you start a game are always open. So when an input goes in, it instantly chucks out an output. So if I go to this logic gate and do on output, yeah, can I use this tool, which is a force action? So I'm going to go here, and you've got different things. What do you want your guy to do? Jump, scream, and one of those is shock. So I want him to get electric shock. And I want it to trigger in play. I don't want all players to be shocked, just the person that jumped through the area. Now on this logic gate, I'm going to do another output. So when I get an output from there, I also want to trigger the timer. And I say, can you start the timer? And if I look at my timer properties, you'll see that that's, go to properties, you'll see that's set to about a second, which is the default, which in this case fits perfectly. So in this case, I want to go to my timer and say, right, when the new logic connection is done and I've completed the time, can I hit the kill switch and can I kill myself, basically? Can I defeat it? So the gate will fire the output through. Now, because I've got this one section, I don't now need to do it for every single fence. All I've got to do now is for all the other trigger areas, all I've got to do now is link that to the logic gate. So if I go into there and say any player, when they enter it, if I fire it now to the logic and do an input, the rest of the sequence is already done, so I don't have to then repeat the process again. I can reuse this again and again. So if I now go and do the remaining 3 other areas, so do this one. I'll set these all up so they're set on the screen. So again, it's all chucking in the input. And like I say, with the logic gate, if the gate is set to be open, when you chuck an input, it instantly chucks an output, where it follows those sequences. Now the reason why I'm using a logic gate is that after we've set this up and show working, I want to be able to close a logic gate, which will then shut down the electrified fence. Okay, we'll show you that in a moment. So let's just do the last section here. So I'm just going to go up onto this guy, get the last fence. Now, some people I've noticed have said use the spark tool. I keep on deleting things when I use the spark tool. I don't like it. I haven't got used to it yet. I'll try and use it a bit later in this clip. But if I do the last one and set that up. So that now, chuck out an input. So that is now set up. My electrified fence is now running. So if I come outside the base, and the reason why I have an electrified fence is I could put a trigger area at the beginning of this entrance here so that when I walk through, guards appear. So I'm forcing the user to go through a certain route. Yeah. So the option here is I don't want to go through the gates. I'm going to jump through a sneak through. And I've kept it quite high, but you won't see that when playing the game. So as I jump through, I get electric shot and I get killed. Okay, chucks me back out the fence. So I'll go and jump the other side of the fence. And as I jump over the fence there, you'll see jump again, I get electrocuted and then killed. So my electrified fence is now working. So what I'm going to do now is make an alternative. How do I shut down the fence so I can sneak in without going through the main doors? So what I've done here is around the back of the base, so if I go around the back on my land speeder, that I set up, I've created these little towers at the back of it, and I've tried to make out they look like a power generator of some sort. So what I want to do here is I want to create a button that I can press, and if I hit it, it will shut down the source. So what I'm going to need here is I'm going to need one of those little buttons. So I'm going to bring that across, and if I hit this target, I'll have to do the connection here. Now I'm going to put this button down here, and the reason for that is you can't actually shoot through that fence. Even though there's gaps in it, it won't allow you to do it. So I could put the button higher up and it'll make it really easy for you to hit, but I want it to be easy. So I'm now going to put it down here so that you can't hit it. I'm making it difficult for the user. Now there's a couple of tools I'm going to use and play around. So one of the other tools I'm going to bring in is a time delayer, because I don't want to shut it down permanently. I only want to shut it down for a few seconds, enough for me to get into the base. Let me get my time delayer and let's move that back over across. Right, and we'll come to that in a second, but once I've set the time delay up, you'll see we'll come when we need to use that particular item. So I'll just chuck that there. Right, so the first thing I want to do is that when I hit that button, so let's go back, and as you'll see now I am using spark mode here because it gets quite close, but I want to move it on. So when I go to that button, right, when I hit it, so I use a square button, new logic connection. When I hit that item, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my logic gate. And on my logic gate, yeah, I'm going to connect to that tool there. And the difference here is I'm going to close the gate so that whenever it gets an input signal, it can't chuck out an output signal because the gate's closed. Therefore, the circuit has been broken, and therefore you won't be electrified. And therefore, that's like my switch. So I've now shut down. If I hit that target, I will now shut down the fence. But what I'm going to do now is going to do a new logic connection when I hit the target again. So it's still the same here. So hit it once, it will turn the thing, and then also at the same time I want it to start this timer, my second timer. Now if I look at the properties of this timer here, I'm going to set that to 10 seconds. Now you'll notice I've played around with this, and I find 10 seconds about the perfect size. Right. Now, when that delay is complete, I'm going to go back to my logic gate and say, can you reopen the gate, which to allow the circuit to work? So I'm going to say, can you open it up, which will now reactivate the force field. Now, the problem I had with this when I played around with this, I couldn't tell whether I'd actually hit the target or whether it was on or off. So, to give the user a little bit more hint, I'm just going to bring in another tool here, and I can never find these, so I've added this to my favourites. Let's go to my custom filters. And let's go to recently used there. Oh, where is it? There it is. The party cannon. Right, I'm going to stick this on top of the tower. And the object here is that if I hit the target, I want to know that that's what I've done. So what I'm going to do on this, I'm going to say, right, when I hit that target, so another connection here, it's a square button, new logic connection. When hit, can you go to that cannon and can we fire some fireworks? So that lets me know that I've hit it. So the other option is, what happens when it's now switched back on and it's now live? So let's go back to my time delay, because that time delay, when the 10 seconds is up, will make the item clear. So I'm going to say new logic connection, and I'm going to go back to my Canon, and in that option I would like to do another connection on that screen. So I'm going to connect to that, and this time I'm going to use confetti, slightly different little symbol there on the screen, and that will identify me that the system is now live. So if I come back out, right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and shoot it. But as you'll see, can't shoot through the wired fence, which is really annoying, so I can't get into it. It's no good. If I try and jump over this area, I'm still going to get killed. So what you could do is you could make your character have to go and collect a load of items. In some of the games you have to go and collect scrap or metal, so you could say go and collect some wood. Okay, and then once you've collected enough, what you can do here is you could then say you could then have a catapult appear, which strangely was one I prepared earlier. So I'll just park my little land speeder here, and if I get into the catapult, so the object here is, now that I've created this catapult, I'm going to fire this at the target. So I'm going to fire it there just to show hit it. So I've got to aim it right, and if I fire down, and this should be spot on, hit the target, the fireworks go off. So that should say now that the electrified fence is now down, and in a few seconds time, after 10 seconds up, it will go back on, and there you go, it's now back on and it's now electrified. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire that. Fence is now down, which should now allow me to jump across. As you showed earlier, I couldn't do it, so as I come across here, I've got 10 seconds to do it. I get across, I am now in the base. And if I look up, the fireworks have gone again, which means that it's now live. So if I try and jump back, I will now get killed. That's basically electrified fence and how to make it a bit more interactive with your game. I hope you find this useful. Thanks for watching.